Hello, and thanks for tuning in. As always, this is Reverend JR. And today I thought we'd do a live stream of this ever-popular dichotomy test you may be familiar with from Rachel Oates' channel or some others. I think Sargon did this as well, when the creator of it sent it to him. So anyway, you get the idea. My patrons are listed to the side here. If you would like to become one of them and get your name here, be sure to check out that link below. Anyway, dichotomy tests. And annoying pop-ups just by clicking. Alright, anyway. Dichotomy provides interesting tests that show you how inclined you are towards certain philosophical, psychological, or political views. Each test tries to discover your preferred beliefs and will attempt to accurately position you along numerous dichotomic axes. Zarok says, "Hey Rev, aren't I in the $10 tier?" Oh, I believe you are. Maybe I got that wrong. I will have to look at that, because I am incredibly smart. Yes, indeed, I don't know how to read. I am silly. I have to fix that. So let's fix that, actually, because you are correct. It has been a while since I read it, which means I have to make another one of these. And put some text on it. And we have to do all sorts of fun things because I'm a nerd and I can't read. I'm very bad at these things. But that's just the way it tends to go when you're me, I guess. Clickety, 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 clickety. And by that logic, this comes down, this comes down, this goes over, and oh, it's only so large. Alright, no big deal. We can scale the rest of them accordingly. Fine by me. Stick that there. Alright, I'll work out the details later, but you are correct. You are correct. Yeah, it was a mistake because I forgot how to read. So, my sincerest apologies. Let's go again. Oh, the mouse doesn't show up, does it? The mouse. It should, but... Oh, hey, there we go. There's a mouse. So anyway, as it says, there is the philosophy... Again, reading, not the strong point today. Not the strong point. Find out how you stand along many philosophical dichotomies, from egoism and altruism to skepticism and absolutism. Again, I'm not sure those are on the same spectrum, but oh well. Zarok says, "No worries. Thank you very much. This is probably not going to be my regular video. I just wanted to do this one for the heck of it." So, you will be asked a number of questions. These will be in the form of either a statement or a scenario. For each of these questions, you should state whether you agree or disagree, broadly speaking. As they are broad questions, I don't think I could speak narrowly. Please try to answer as honestly as possible. Again, this should take about 13 minutes, if it's simple as it puts forth. So, question 1 of 74. How much do you agree or disagree with the following statement? I think this will be the form for all of them, so we'll go with that. Presume it's asking whether or not I agree, strongly agree at the top, strongly disagree at the bottom, neutral right in the center. I would rather find true love than be wealthy. I very much disagree. Wealth can get you just about anything you want. And I've had some money before, but I've never had love, so I have to say the money's superior, because it can always be there as long as you work for it. How much do you agree or disagree with this? I would rather be given an expensive car than save the life of a starving child. I'd much rather people be better off, of course. And I don't really care for expensive cars, so, I mean, yeah, sure. And I would rather receive money than gifts. Well, if the money is a gift that I'm receiving, but I mean, it doesn't really matter, I guess. Money can be more useful sometimes. Let's see. I would rather be in a sexual relationship without intimacy than be in an intimate relationship without sex. Again, I've never really been in a sexual relationship, so I presume, but I also really don't care for, like, physical intimacy and that sort of thing. So I'm really neutral because I don't particularly care for either, I guess. There is no inherent meaning to life. That's correct. There is no meaning other than what we give it. And, I mean, the meaning, the purpose behind everything, effectively is just progeny, I guess, or evolution, or simply to be. But, no, there's no inherent meaning. It's not like some god is telling us what must or must not be, that sort of thing. We simply exist. A world without color is far darker than a world without order. I don't know what that means. Like, are we saying color as in the variety of things that are? Like, order can also be colored. I mean, typically when you talk about anything to do with order, you're talking about the color of law. Like, that's not just a turn of phrase. It tells you how the law is intended to be interpreted and so on. But I mean, a world without color, do they mean like actors and that sort of thing, art and so on? Or do they just mean a variety of personalities, or perhaps a variety of types of things? Again, I don't know. Society will always need a strong authority. No, I disagree that it's necessary. Generally speaking, a strong authority can help keep people in line, but only if there's, you know, force behind it, and solid idea and order behind it, that it is moral and ethical. But you have societies that don't have strong authorities. They just don't tend to last as long, I guess. I'm neutral on that. I believe in some form of spiritual afterlife. Well, that's definitely a disagreement. When you're dead, and that's kind of the end of it. It sucks, but that's how it is. If I had to choose, I would save myself instead of a loved one. I don't know. I've never been in that position. And I'm not going to pretend how I would act in a position I don't have. The ends usually justify the means. It depends on what the ends are and what the means are. If I killed 10 children to make a peanut butter sandwich, the ends was peanut butter sandwich, and the means was 10 dead children. Obviously, that would not be it. That's an extreme case, of course. But what is the average case? What is the usual? I don't know. Is it okay to war for things? That's a usual thing. We want more resources. The people who have them don't want to give them to us. And so we go to war with them. Does that justify the end of getting the thing? I don't know. I would rather live a life of personal pleasure than settle down and have children. Well, I have no children, but I'm also settled down. Like, I'm not moving around. I do kind of do whatever I want, but at the same time, I wouldn't care if I had children. I'll go with agree, I guess. Life is suffering and fundamentally meaningless. There is suffering in life, but again, there is no particular meaning in life apart from what we give it, you see. So it begs the question, is life suffering if there is no meaning? And for me, the answer is no. There doesn't need to be a special meaning. Life simply is. But no, it's not, I mean, it's fundamentally meaningless in the sense that there is no special meaning to it. But I wouldn't say that life is suffering by itself. Life has suffering. When making a decision, the underlying reasoning is always more important than the consequences. No, that's clearly wrong. Because if the reasoning is merely, I like this kind of music, so I'm not going to buy other kinds of music, I mean, is one of them fundamentally more important than the other? No. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, of course. If you tell me you can fly, I'm going to ask you to fly. There is more to the world than mere material. No. Everything is material in the universe unless you can show something that isn't. Most people are inherently selfish. That's true. Most people want to live. Most people want their views heard. Most people want to feel important. Most people want to contribute to society. Most people want for themselves to be remembered. Yes. We should strive towards a utopian society. I don't agree or disagree. We should just strive to be better than we were in the past and make everyone's life less suffering. If that is utopia, that's fine. I'm not sure that it is. Sometimes we must suffer in the present so that we can have a better future. Maybe. I mean, if I want a good retirement, I have to work now, and that might hurt. No actions are inherently moral or immoral. There are plenty of amoral actions. So that's a disagree. You know, getting a glass of water doesn't have a moral judgment unless you're doing it with the intent of showing off that you have water and someone else doesn't. Reason is more important than emotion. It depends on what for. Again, it's more important if you want, society to advance. Emotion is great if you want songs like Taylor Swift writes. But reason is more important if you want to understand why triangles have 180 degrees to their three sides. But reason will generally win out over emotion for subjects such as law and science. So it's probably more important in the sense that it accomplishes more socially, generally speaking. It is foolish to believe a claim if there is no evidence to back it up. I completely strongly agree. You shouldn't believe things with no evidence. My mental well-being is more important to me than material possessions. Probably. Selflessness is a virtue. Sometimes, if you're giving to the point that you are depriving yourself, then I wouldn't necessarily call it virtuous. Being a sycophant is not a virtue, but it's 100% selfless. Our society is fundamentally flawed and in need of radical reform? No, we need some reforms. I don't know if it's fundamentally flawed. Our society being, I guess, the American one in my case. So I'm going to disagree. I prefer friendships that help me grow as a person as opposed to ones that are exciting. I don't really care. I'm friends with people because I'm friends with them, because they're people I typically want to hang out with. Not because they help me make myself better, or because they add excitement. I don't have a preference on the type of friendship generally. The exciting ones usually tend to be the ones that break laws and things too. So no. I would say neither. There is an underlying morality in everything that we do. No, I've said already. There are plenty of things that are amoral, that are without morals, and so on. You know. That's just the way it is, man. Without music, life would be a mistake. I don't understand, again, the context. Without music, life still is. It's not as though there was some mistake and we had to correct it with music just because things were alive. Without some music, life would actually be better off, though. I mean, but no, I would disagree. Being alive is not a mistake just because there's no music to it. There exists an omniscient, omnipotent, absolute being. Didn't we already say no to this, effectively? But no. Unless you're talking about yourself while you are alive. Because then literally everything you know is everything that can be known. Even if you learn more things, it gets added to it. You are all-powerful because you can do anything you can do. And you are absolute because you are your own decision-maker. But no. As in, like, a god. No. Consciousness is immaterial. Consciousness may not even be real. So yes, it doesn't necessarily exist. But it's a product of material things. But yeah, neutral, I guess, because the point of the matter is, it's not an actual, like, thing. Electricity is a thing. Electrons exist. For example. My own prosperity matters more to me than the happiness of those around me. To a degree, because some people just will not be happy even if they have everything. And it's handed to them. And they have no concerns in the world. I'd love it if everyone could be happy all the time. But some people are perpetually grouchy. Despite my own prosperity. People who desire constant success must change their conduct with the times. Yeah, you must adapt to market forces if you want to take advantage of the market forces. It is virtuous to live a simple life without an abundance of physical comforts. I mean, again, I wouldn't say it's virtuous to just be impoverished because you can. We are all insignificant in the eyes of the universe. I mean, does the universe have eyes? We just established that I don't believe in such a creator, in such a power, an intelligence that's omnipotent, omniscient, and so on. Most of the universe is insignificant to us. Also. That doesn't mean it's not there, and it doesn't do things. But again, in the grand scheme of things, yes, we live for about 80 years out of the trillions of years or more that the universe will exist. And we happen to live at a time that is advantageous for us to live, and the majority of history isn't. But at the same time, we still exist, so we have some significance. Even if no one else in the universe ever discovers us, we still existed. And that's significant. In exactly the way alien civilizations we will never discover are still significant, even if we don't know about them and never will. A society without marriage would be better than a society without divorce. I don't know. This is one of those wishy-washy questions. What if you had a society without, like, both? Where people just weren't allowed to live together. Or something of that nature. Or where people weren't allowed to live on their own. Is fundamentally the question here. And where you fall along that determines your answer to this question. And I don't know where I fall. But, I mean, I'm never getting married, so it really wouldn't make any difference to me. Because I'm never going to have the marriage or the divorce, as far as I can tell. But no, people should be allowed to break up if they get married. And people should be allowed to live together all they want. So I'm going to disagree because they're both about the same. Either one of them should be allowed. We should allow both of them. Our society defines us. Yeah, they give us names, and they give us jobs, and they identify us based on the traits we have regarding our physicality and our occupation. But at the same time, you still choose to do those things. you also define society. Spirit and matter are two separate entities. Spirit does not exist. Again, immaterial things are not matter. But I'm going to disagree because one of them isn't real, as far as we can tell. I will usually put my family, my community, or my people above my own personal goals. Again, as Sargon said, I am part of those three things, therefore mine are part of theirs. But, with that said, I mean, if my goal is to harm as few people as possible while still living a decent life, that still falls onto all of them. That's neutral. Revolution is sometimes a benefit to society. Yeah, sometimes. And sometimes it's not. And how often that is really depends on which side of that revolution you're on and whether or not it fails. But yes, sometimes. People have the right to try to achieve as much pleasure as possible. Generally speaking, as long as you're not hurting anyone else. If murder is what brings you pleasure, then you do not have the right to that. But if alcohol brings you pleasure and you hurt no one else, then yes, you should have the right to as much of it as you want. So for the most part, I'd agree. Life is despair. I've noticed we're already to question 40, and we haven't had the opposite question to this. Life is joy. Or life is agony. Or life is happiness. Or life is prosperity. To test us on different axes. Life is despair. Neutral. For some people it is. For others it is not. The corpse burners of India, for example, live in near constant despair. But the average American lives in general poverty or general prosperity. Even if they're poor, they benefit from the society at large, which you don't have in a caste system. So that's a neutral. Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. You tell me how to teach my heart something. It just pumps blood, man. It's got a pacemaker, does nothing on its own. But you're talking about educating your emotions, whatever that means. But either way, if you're educating the heart, you're educating your mind to deal with your emotions. So that's still educating the mind. But I'm going to disagree. Because education involves learning either way. Even if you educate this. Just say it the other way. Educating the mind is no education at all. Well, clearly I disagree with that. Human beings possess free will. We possess limited free will. We can't do just simply anything. But we can do anything that we can do. Like, I can't spontaneously turn into an elephant no matter how much I will it. But I can sit here and make a video, or not make a video, based on my will, because both of those are options to me. So that's neutral. We possess some will. I don't even think it's a dichotomy. It is good to strive towards fame, wealth, and power. Sometimes, it is good to do the right thing with fame, wealth, and power. But striving towards it, I mean, it gives you something to do, sure. And it makes you fit into society better. It makes you more competitive. It makes you a better team player, potentially. If you can lead well, you can be on a team well. So I'm going to generally agree with that. I would rather live alone in luxury than in poverty with friends and family. I don't have a strong feeling on this. Because I don't really care about luxury. But I don't really want to be around people all the time either. Societal progression should be carried out slowly and in small incremental steps. Not necessarily. If we find out that slavery is bad, We shouldn't say, well, we're only going to free a few slaves this year, and the rest of them will stay enslaved. In fact, with abolition, that was a big societal step. So, no, I disagree. If we find out that something is terrible for society, and changing something will make it better, we should do that, even if it's disadvantageous to some people. Pleasure is the highest good. No, helping others generally is the highest good. I don't care about morality. I'm kind of in between. Morality is how the individual feels about things. And generally speaking, none of us care about that. We care about ethics, which is what we think should be done objectively. Morals are subjective. It is foolish to let emotions influence your decisions. Generally speaking, yes. Again, to go back to the example of the triangle, I don't care if you feel like there should be 210 degrees or 360 degrees on a circle or 360 degrees on the triangle on a flat plane. Your emotions don't change how many degrees are in a triangle and the math you decide to do based upon it. It'll only come out right one way. Johnny Drive-By says, hey, Rev. What's up, Johnny Drive-By? I'm just sitting here doing a political dichotomy test. Let's see. Nothing can be proven to be true. That's false. Proof is evidence, and there is evidence for a great many things, at least if we're talking about proof in the scientific or mathematical sense. There is no such thing as absolute truth, but there are plenty of things that have proof of their existence, like the quadratic equation or gravity. Oh, I clicked the wrong one, didn't I? Previous. Strongly disagree. A life of fame and fortune is more desirable to me than a happy and meaningful life. I don't know. I could certainly do with $1 million right now, but I wouldn't want it if I was miserable and unfulfilled. So I'm kind of neutral. Then again, with that much money, if I had all the fame and wealth, I could buy things to make me very happy, or so that I wouldn't even care. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. Sure, but if you're a dick to me and I'm fighting that hard battle, I'm going to be a dick right back. The worst ideas, the world, I guess, because I can't read again, as we pointed out earlier, the world of ideas is superior to the physical world. In what way? Ideas, if they exist in your mind, are still somewhat in the physical world. I wouldn't call it superior at all, because without the physical world it wouldn't exist. It is better to live a frugal life. I'm kind of neutral. I'm not materialistic, but I also don't think you should just save your money for a day that you're never going to spend it. If you die and you still have most of your money in your accounts and you lived impoverished for your life, then what was the point of it? Moral statements are statements of truth or fact more than they are statements of emotion or desire. No. Morals, again, are tethered to the individual. If we replace morals with ethics, then maybe. But even so, ethics are decided by the group deciding what is the prevailing moral idea on a given subject. So morals as well as ethics are more emotional generally than they are true or false. Like, is it wrong to kill? And a person can say yes, but they can also think capital punishment is fine. So it's basically an emotion at that point. Scientific research is more important than art and music. Generally speaking, but I mean, art and music both have science to them. Music specifically is very mathematical when you apply it, and you can learn a lot from the science and math in the music. But yes, music didn't bring about the polio vaccine. So I mean, science is more important in the sense that it benefits society more greatly, whereas art and music are more entertainment. Useful, that's not to downplay their importance, but science prevails because science is what lets you make the instruments in the first place and understand how the vocal cords work and so on. I would rather live in a wealthy society with little to no morals than live in a poor society with morals and identity. So I would rather live in America rather than Iran or Afghanistan or China. Remember, stoning the gays is immoral. It's a, believing in God is an identity, a theocracy. No, I'd much rather the wealthy with little to no morals. And Zarok also says, hey John. We should focus on the well-being of our community, of course, because we are part of it. That is a selfish interest, but I completely agree with it. Not for the same reason as the person who wrote this question, I'm sure. But yes, because I am part of my community, I would like to live in a good one. Our ideas stem from reality. Sometimes, for the most part, yes, even preternatural things are based on reality. The bounds of reality that are violated by supernatural things are also stemming from reality. Like Superman's ability to fly stems from the reality that people cannot fly. Our primary pursuit should be our own passions and pleasures. Those are the things that drive us to do better, so yes, in general, that's correct. There's a distinction between good and bad that goes beyond mere human nature. No. Good and bad is relative to how it affects other humans. So for humans, good and bad is a human thing. The primary goal of humanity is the pursuit of knowledge. No, again, as I said earlier, there is no meaning, there is no goal, there is no specific raison d'être, whatever. The primary goal of humanity is just to be born and die, if you want to call it that. But no, I disagree. There is nothing. I like knowledge. I like the pursuit of it. But it's not the primary goal of humanity. The primary goal of humanity is just to exist. Human beings possess a soul. We've been over this with the spirit question. Same thing. No. We are humans. We are alive and real. But no, I don't believe we have a soul. Individuals should always act in their own self-interest. Generally speaking, yes, self-defense is fine. Getting more money to protect yourself and your family is fine. In fact, I can't think of a whole lot of times when you shouldn't act out of self-interest. Like, again, it said these were broad, general questions, but now it's asking specifically for always. And there's no such thing as an always situation. There will always be some exceptions even to that. Each person has a function in society, of course. Some people function as a useless member. Some people function as highly productive. There's a way to live that is morally ideal. Of course, everyone has different morals, and everyone believes there is a different way to be morally ideal. Even with ethics, you can go the same route. It is not wise to be affected by strong passions and fears. I, again, wouldn't agree with that because that goes back to your self-interest. I have a strong passion to live in a society that isn't constantly trying to kill me if I don't agree with its majority, or even parts of its minority. That is one of my strong passions, is, staying alive and getting along. The universe obeys natural and fundamental laws. It appears to. People cannot be truly altruistic. You sure can. A sycophant, again, a person who does nothing but suck up to someone else and work entirely 100% for their benefit, is an altruist in a very limited sense of the word. But you can be truly altruistic. You can be truly self-interested and do things only for the greater good of others, even if they're not in your society. A lot of people on the right and the left both, and even some centrists, some libertarians even, will say that we should try to make the entire world a better place, even if it's completely impossible. The people who think that Bill Gates is putting the gay genes in the vaccines in the shots that he's sending to Africa to vaccinate them against malaria, they're genuinely altruistic because they don't want Bill Gates hurting those people, even if they are completely misguided in their notions. So yes, people can be truly altruistic. Lofty ideals, such as justice and liberty, are of great importance to me. I believe that we should follow law and order, yes. That's the point of living in the societies we do. So I would agree. Authority must always be ridiculed. Well, it doesn't always have to be, but whatever authority does in relation to it, or in retaliation, will definitely tell you whether or not they are a decent authority. Without faith in a God, we cannot be content. I'm fairly content just to make videos and not believe in a God. I have to disagree. You can be content with any kind of life, if you so choose. To a degree, you can't be really content if you're terribly depressed or anything. But you can be content in general. Emotion cannot be discounted when making decisions. What does that even mean? I mean, yes, I'm going to buy and listen to the kind of music I like because I enjoy that kind of music, and that is fundamentally emotional. So yes, you can't always discount it. But when the decision is something like, how should my taxes be spent when I'm a politician or a person who spends taxes, emotion is much less useful in such a situation. But generally speaking, if you're making emotions about yourself, or decisions rather, then yeah, your emotions will play into it. You're going to buy the kind of food you like because you like it. So yes, there are times when it cannot be discounted, but there are other times when it can. We can never perceive true reality. I don't know. We may be perceiving it right now. I don't know what they mean by true reality. But what we observe is definitely a form of reality. We should help those who are struggling in our society. Yes, it's a good idea because it makes our society better. And it means I want to live in it more and participate in it more. When we get people who aren't struggling, that go from being not useful members of society to productive members of society. I want more of that for that particular reason. Here are my results. Click here to view an advertisement and help support the site. No thank you. So your results are displayed below. Apparently I'm 75% materialist. And even though I don't believe in spirits, I'm still somehow 1/4 spiritualist. Whatever that means. I can't click anything. Oh, it's here. And apparently I'm more egoist than altruist. But okay. Apparently I'm more idealist versus pragmatist, even though I'm one of the most practical people I know. I'm a little more hedonist versus the asceticism. Which, that's a close split. Fair enough, I guess. I'm closer to nihilist than moralist, which, again, I don't believe there's nothing. I believe there's literally something. It's right here between you and I. And I'm slightly more rationalist than romanticist, which is wrong. I'm definitely more rationalist. And skepticism versus absolutism. Yeah, I definitely fall more on the skeptic side. That's fine. What do my results mean? Metaphysical axis. Materialism. All of reality is physical and material. Yes. And every question I answered to that effect, and I still got partially spiritualist. Because I do not believe that. I definitely believe this. It's not even a question. I'm 100% materialist. I only believe in things that are real. If you can't show me them, I don't believe in them. Societal. My attitude towards society. That's the idea. Egoism, the individual is most important. Altruism, the community is most important. Again, this test isn't really set up well for mapping the two differences, because individual and community are both intertwined amazingly. On that axis, I'm about half and half, which is close enough. Decision-making axis. How you approach this decision-making and your actions, if I can speak today. Idealism. The underlying principles are most important. Pragmatism. The results are most important. And again, I'd say I'm about halfway there. It says I'm a little closer to idealist. Fair enough, I guess. Sensuality. How you approach your indulgences. Hedonism. Pleasure is intrinsically good and should be desired. Abstinence from pleasure in order to discover meaning is most important. Where was I? Hedonistic or asceticism? Again, I guess fine. Right in the middle. That's fine. The meaning axis. Nihilism, neither meaning nor morality are objective. Moralism, morality and meaning are objective to some extent. Morality is 100% objective based upon your morals. Again, they might be talking about ethical standards here rather than moral standards. That's the point. But again, it pushed me to 60% nihilist in this regard. And again, it's the ethics that are not objective. Morality is objective to yourself. Values axis. What you value most. Rationalism, intellect and logic. Romanticism, passions and the heart. I would consider myself like 90% rationalist, at least. But it doesn't, for some reason. Epistemology. Your attitude towards knowledge. Skepticism, we can never truly know anything. Absolutism. There are pardon me. Absolutism. There are objective truths that can also be understood. Close enough. Close enough. I guess. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to PewDiePie. Help him beat T-Series. So anyway, I guess that's going to be the end of that test. I really don't care for it. It's not the end of the world. It's actually okay. It doesn't quite understand itself, I think. But the point remains. This is where it thinks I stand on these things. So if you enjoyed that video, be sure to click that thumbs up. If you didn't, click the thumbs down. Don't forget to subscribe to PewDiePie. He needs to beat T-Series. Again, if you want to see your name on the screen here, and I'll also get it right from now on, be sure to check out my Patreon. If you want to share this video around and see how your friends come up with their meanings, be sure to do it. Zalrock says this was a fun test. Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was a little too specific for its vagaries, but it got the point across. I think, again, it was fun. It was neat to go through. It was clever. It got the point across. And if you enjoyed that, be sure to subscribe. You'll find other content of mine you'll like as well. PewDiePie needs to beat T-Series because he needs to continue being the #1 subscribed channel on YouTube. We can't let India take over. Not even if we want to. I guess it's like reverse imperialism. I don't know. He needs to beat T-Series because he's the biggest single-person channel on the YouTube. And he also happens to be the largest channel. And it's just a clever meme thing. It's just kind of a joke. But at the same time, 75 million subscribers. I wish I had 1/10 of that. Maybe someday. Anyway, I mean, yeah, 7.5 million would be nice. 75 million, someday. Someday. But yeah, the whole running gag, why does it matter? For the nihilism, man. For the nihilism. In the big scheme of things, I suppose it really doesn't. But we don't want to let some big corporation take over the YouTube. That would be a shame. Isn't that ad pop? I don't. Probably. But I don't really care. It's kind of a running joke right now. It's a meme. And the memes get all the money. So I've got to try to meme it up and go with the popular ones. Or something like that. But anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, this has been Reverend JR, signing off.